Hi, this is our Bio 425-525 final project with group members Cody, Isabella, Jairus, and Jordan. And the title of this project is called The Summary of Amphibians and Reptiles in 4 Pennsylvania counties, which will be described later. So before we go into the maps and location, we're actually just going to start with the species list. So this is the full list of the species of salamanders, frogs and toads, turtles, snakes, and lizards in the 4 Pennsylvania counties of Wayne, Pike, Monroe, and Carbon. So as you see here, there's a full salamander species list. I won't name all of them, but some of them are the spotted salamander, the Jefferson salamander, the eastern hellbender, and the Allegheny mountain dusky. And those marked with an asterisk show that they are near threatened species. And one example is the spotted salamander that we can see here. And just to sort of highlight the species count per county, out of the 15 total species, this is the number of species seen in each county. So Wayne County had 13 salamander species, Pike County had 12, Monroe County had 12, and Carbon County had 12.
So here we have a list of our frog and toad species: the Fowler's toad, Interaxis fowleri, the American toad, Interaxis americanus, the Eastern American toad, the gray tree frog, spring peeper, green frog, American bullfrog, pickerel frog, and wood frog. And here's an example of one of our species, the American toad, Interaxis americanus. In this slide, we see a bar graph depicting the frog and toad species per county. We can see that the majority of the counties have the same number of frog and toad species, 8, save Carbon County, which has 7 species. And in total, there was 9 species. Here we can see our turtle species list. We have the common snapping turtle, painted turtle, eastern musk turtle, eastern box turtle, North American wood turtle, eastern painted turtle, the Midland painted turtle, red-eared slider, eastern spiny soft-shelled turtle, common northern map turtle, spotted turtle, bog turtle, and the northern red-bellied cooter. And here we see the common snapping turtle, Chaladra serpentina. And in this slide, we have a bar graph depicting the turtle species per county. We can see that Monroe County has the most turtle species with 11, and Wayne and Carbon counties the least with 8 species. And in total, there was 13 species present.
There are 15 species of snakes found in the Pocono Mountains area. These include the timber rattlesnake, the northern ringneck, the eastern rat snake, the eastern milk snake, the northern water snake, the smooth green snake, the northern red-bellied snake, the eastern and the common garter snake, the ribbon snake, the northern copperhead snake, the eastern worm snake, the northern black racer, the eastern hognose snake, and the northern brown snake. Almost every species of snake listed previously can be found in all 4 counties of focus, so there's an even distribution of snake species in this area for the most part. There are only 2 lizard species found around the Poconos, and they are the common 5-lined skink and the eastern fence lizard. The common 5-lined skink can be found in Pike, Monroe, and Carbon counties, while the eastern fence lizard can be found in Pike and Carbon County. Neither of these are found in Wayne County. All but one salamander species found in the Poconos area has a conservation status of least concern. The eastern hellbender, however, is considered near threatened. The conservation threats to salamanders are of a wide variety, but many can be grouped into the general description of habitat loss by various activities. Biological resource use is the most common threat among the salamander community in this area. None of the frog and toad species have a conservation status other than least concern. Some are even considered to be overabundant pests. The largest threat to frogs and toads in this area is habitat loss due to the use of their biological resources by humans. Most turtle species found in the Poconos area have the conservation status of least concern, with a few exceptions. The eastern box turtle is considered vulnerable. The North American wood turtle is considered endangered. The spotted turtle is considered endangered, and the bog turtle is considered critically endangered. There are many threats to turtle species in this area, the largest being habitat loss due to human development and resource use. Transportation corridors are also a large threat, with roads serving as barriers within ranges as well as a risk to cross for turtles. All snake species within this area have the conservation status of least concern. The biggest conservation threat to snake species in this area is biological resource use by humans. Both lizard species in this area are considered to be of least concern in terms of conservation status. Overall, there are no known major threats to the lizard species in this area.
This section of our presentation is going to discuss the habitats and natural history of the Pocono mountain range, as well as past and present land usages. So, the formation of the Appalachian Mountains began between 500 to 300 million years ago. They were formed during the Carboniferous period as a result of continental plate collision between the Laurentian and Gondwanan plates. This collision, which lasted a suspected 100 million years and resulted in the collisional mountain range of the Appalachians, can be seen in the eastern portions of Canada, United States, and Scotland. Additionally, the other half of the mountain range can be seen in Africa and Europe. And so here we can see the 3 steps of plate collision resulting in the formation of the central Pangaean Mountains that later became known as the Appalachians, Scottish Highlands, British Isles, and the Caledonian Mountains. In the top right of the slide, we see a picture depicting the collision between North America and Africa, resulting in the central Pangaean Mountains. And then below that, the modern positioning of these mountains. Specifically, our research focuses on the Pocono Mountains, and this is encompassing 4 counties of the northwestern corner of Pennsylvania. These counties in this region are the Monroe, Carbon, Pike, and Wayne counties. One of the things I found most interesting in doing this research is the debate on what the range of the Poconos Mountains is. Some people consider it much further than others, and so it's kind of a debate that's never really been settled. The Poconos mountain region is characterized by a continental temperate climate, meaning that it experiences a full range of seasons and year-round precipitation. Geographically, it's dominated by plateaus and ridge and valley ecosystems. It owes this largely in part due to the glaciation events that occurred during the Wisconian and in turn left behind a vast array of herpetofaunal habitats. So the habitats available to the herpetofauna in the area are largely determined by the dominant land cover types. One of the most dominant features present in the Poconos is a northeastern hardwood forest. These regenerating hardwood forests are composed primarily of maples, beeches, birches, and occasionally gymnosperm species such as the eastern hemlock. However, the soil in the Poconos is pretty thin and acidic due to the last interglacial events. Although this may leave the land relatively useless for agricultural purposes, it has created a vast array of herpetofaunal habitats that are not so clearly visible to the regular eyes. However, as students of this class, we know how many different microhabitats are present in these pictures here, such as under the leaves, under log debris, or near stream vegetation. The second most dominant land feature in the Poconos is the ridge and valley ecosystem. We can see this area in the northernmost extension of the mountain range in confluence with the Delaware River. In the top right of this slide, you can see a picture of the most iconic ridge and valley seen in the Poconos. It occurs at the Delaware River watermouth gap. We know as herpetology students that these ecosystems are characterized by their steep dry sides and moist valleys, and the dominant vegetation trends along white pine or eastern hemlock forests. Additionally, we can expect shrubs and mosses to grow. The Poconos are additionally home to over 150 lakes and ponds, representing a vast array of potential aquatic habitats. So, land use. The past of the Poconos is going to play a large role in the structure and quality and quantity of available habitat to herpetofauna. So, the Poconos were first colonized by Dutch settlers in 1669, and during this time when they colonized it, they were primarily using it for resources, lumber, fur, etc. However, after they used up all the resources, they largely forgot about it till the early 1800s, when it actually became the nation's top honeymooning location. Today, you'll see a similar trend in the usage of the Pocono land. People travel from all over the country for recreational activities in this mountain range. Modern-day land usage has seen a push, however, in conservation of the Poconos as the economic industries recognize the inherent value of the ecosystems around them. Today, there are several state parks, camping locations, environmental and educational opportunities, skiing, water resorts, communities, and more dotting the landscape of the Poconos. Over a majority of the herpetofauna we found to reside within the Poconos are threatened by land use and coverage changes. Development of recreational areas such as water parks and skiing lodges may degrade and remove the ecological habitat that species of the Poconos need to thrive. Many of Pennsylvania's industries that in the past focused on resource extraction are now investing into their local ecosystems to form new and profitable enterprises, both economically and environmentally. Certainly, the Poconos is another case of this.
We move on to predators and prey. So these are some species of interest in relation to the salamanders, the frogs and toads, the snakes, and the turtles and lizards that we've talked about so far. And what we've done here is that it would take a really long time to go over each of the individual species, prey and also predator influences. So instead, what we've done is summarize this on a per herp group basis. So summarize it for all of the salamanders in the counties, all the frogs and toads, all the turtles, and all the snakes. And how this was done was based on the number of times a predator or a predator type or a prey type was mentioned in the references that we used to gather this info, a tally was given. So for example, if a salamander had a predation influence from mammals like raccoons, skunks, and minks, that's a tally of 3, if that was how it was mentioned. If in another reference it was mentioned for a different species or a different group of species that they were influenced by just mammals, that would give a tally of 1. So because of this, obviously it's not meant to be analyzed to a high degree. It's only meant to be a loose general display of what type of predatory influence and dietary lifestyles might exist for these groups. And so for any information on what types of bias and errors that would possibly be there that we didn't account for in these graphs, you can find that information in the footnotes of these slides. So based on the tally of the predators that were mentioned for salamanders, this is a general distribution graph that gives an idea of salamanders and their predatory influence in the 4 Pennsylvania counties. So as you can see, mammals have one of the highest influences here, followed up by snakes and other different species of predators. And you can see the full list of predators down here below. When it comes to prey, again, this is a loose distribution of the prey types that are within the salamander's diets in these 4 counties. And one of the highest ones was insects and bugs, followed by other invertebrates. And other invertebrates, as seen here, can be things like small crustaceans, centipedes, nematodes, species like that. And just one example is the 4-toed salamander. They eat all types of aquatic and terrestrial invertebrates. They eat insects, worms, spiders, and as the salamander or any of the salamander species progress life stages, their diet also changes with them. And so we can see the 4-toed salamander here. And now for frogs. Again, a loose distribution graph of the predator influence for frogs and toads in these 4 Pennsylvania counties. And one of the highest predatory influences were snakes, birds, and mammals. And a full list of the predators that were mentioned can be seen here. And this is a loose distribution of the prey that compose the frogs and toads diets in these 4 counties. And as you can see, insects and bugs were some of the highest, followed by plants and detritus, decaying matter. And one of the things to consider, which is also mentioned in the footnotes, is that a frog and any of the species, their diet also changes as they progress from life stages, from being a juvenile to being an adult. And so one of the reasons plants and detritus might be such a high portion of this graph is because some of the frog and toad species as juveniles would eat plants and detritus. And so that might be one of the reasons why a large portion of their diet is shown to have this type of diet, or this type of food that would be composed in their diet. And a full list of prey can be seen on the bottom. Then for turtles, the predator influence, a loose distribution of the predator influence seen here. We can see that mammals are a big part. And also humans are on there, as well as birds and other predatory species, and we can see the full list on the bottom here. And when it comes to prey for turtles, other invertebrates make up a big portion of their diet. Again, a general loose distribution based on what we saw in the references, and a full list of prey can be seen here. For snakes, predators shown can be mammals and also birds. Again, humans are on here, and the full list of predators can be seen on the bottom. And then for prey, for snakes, there seems to be a little bit more equal, or trending towards more equal distribution in the prey. We can see insects, other invertebrates, mammals, and birds as part of their diets for all the snake species in these 4 counties, and the full list of prey can be seen on the bottom. And for lizards, with the lizard species, we only, based on our research, there were only 2 lizard species in these 4 counties specifically. And so because of that, the data, there wasn't as much data as there were for the other species groups, such as for snakes and turtles. And so looking here at the predatory influence, mammals make up a large portion of the predatory influence, along with birds and other species. And we can see the full list down here. And when it comes to prey, again, because there was only 2 lizard species that were in the references that we use and the research that we did, the prey include other invertebrates, insects, and small mammals, and the full list can be seen here.